probably in
We're,
the.
all right. All right. I guess the counter was messing up. And hey, you're not
How's it
Nemo.
going?
What happened?
Nope,
Hey,
I am not.
we've got DJ Lawrence in the house. As you guys remember, this week, Nemo is sunning under the sun under a palm tree, sipping some margaritas. And maybe he might join
Waiting,
us
waiting
if he
again
joins
in Margaritaville.
Bill. Yeah. And I told him if he had time, he'd just come in the live chat and say hi or have another margarita for me. All right. So, hey, Lawrence, what you been up to?
I just trying to get stuff done, trying to recover from this past weekend. It was a long weekend.
Oh,
We had a
that's
car
right.
show here today.
You had a concert that you were doing, right? Well,
Yeah,
who was it, and what was it for? Was it a charity or car show
and
or something?
it's the 15th annual Shakedown show, car show here in San
Okay.
Angelo, and we had Stevie D and the All Star cast with
Ah,
Mario O on keys, Aaron Holler on the drums, and Rebecca Valadez as well. And then we had Jenny B with her singing. You know, she just released her song "Besos de Amor." And then we
okay.
had Joanna Ray, who's another Tejano singer, an aspiring Tejano singer, and her song. I don't remember that song, but it's a
Okay.
good one. It's a
Yeah.
good. I know it's good.
Was it a 1 day event or is it a weekend thing
It's
or what?
actually a 2 day event. It's a Saturday and Sunday. We averaged out. I want to say we topped over last year's attendance, and last year's attendance was 12,000 people. So
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
pretty good. I remember
so,
I used to help throw concerts for Tejanos for On the Music back in the early '90s, and
mhm,
I think we got. I think I the first one I did was the eighth annual,
mhm.
and I think we did between 12, 15,000 and stuff like that.
I mean,
But
that's still
you know,
good.
but it was a
Well,
3 day event.
oh wow, wow.
We didn't have 10. I mean 12 to 15 each day. It was like total. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Well,
a matter of fact, I've got this. I don't know if everybody could see it, but it's one of my posters I have over here.
uh,
See that? It's
yeah,
the eighth annual North Texas on the Music Festival. I saved that. Okay, let
that's
me see
good.
if I can fix it.
I didn't save any
And
posters of mine, but I've got a lot of because I was involved with a lot of the different. I was involved with the music, with designing the posters and the video. You know the stuff that I do. I created
oh
the
yeah,
flyers, the digital flyers, and the digital video promotions and stuff like
yeah.
that. And that's
A lot of people out there in YouTube world and Facebook. Oh, by the way, I don't know if some of these Facebook people know, but we're streaming first time on Facebook. But we're doing it through Lawrence's Facebook group like
yeah.
that. So hope hi there, Facebook people, if you're there. Just you're our first time on Facebook like that.
There you go.
But a lot
Oh,
of
by the
people
way,
don't know what's that.
Miguelito Hernandez, he's on there on my Facebook right now. He said,
Oh
"Hola."
wow. Okay. Well, I will get to the Facebook chat. Oh well, the live chats a little bit later. I just want to get a little uh,
Sure, go ahead.
more history about you, and then we'll
Oh
have people
no.
ask you questions. All right. But a lot of people don't know about your generosity, and I constantly tell you, you need to start saying no to people. But you do a lot of things for these artists, and like you do music videos, and a lot of them I think should pay you for them, but you're very generous with your time, and you're a very good videographer. And I've seen some of your music videos; they're pretty good.
Thank
And
you.
then and you also do a lot of what do the artists call those promos?
Hmm.
So like
The
like the
video.
ones on and yeah, the ones that you show on your uh, Mountain Studios on YouTube,
Hmm.
the intros and stuff like that, and they also use it to promote themselves too,
Hmm.
like that. So you're very generous with your time,
And the
like that.
digital posters as well. So
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So okay, I wanted to ask you a few things because I know a lot about you because we've had lots of talks
yeah.
before, but the people out there might not know. Okay, and I want to know. or let's go out. How'd you get started in the Tejano industry? Because
Okay,
you weren't always a DJ.
no, I wasn't always a DJ, and actually, there's two starts. The first start was back in the early '90s, late '80s. Right in that area. Um,
Hmm.
my wife, she's the first generation Mexican American. American of Mexican descent. And so, Spanish music was her thing. That's what she grew up. That's what she listened to. Spanish
Hmm.
was actually her first language. And so I was intrigued by the music, but what they listened to was more norteño and mariachi and stuff like that. And it just didn't jive with me. I just didn't like it. And then we went to a quinceañera and I heard it for the first time there. And I was like enamored with the complexity of the Spanish music as opposed to what I was listening to before with norteño and mariachi. That kind of stuff was very formulaic. I've said this before, like salsa is very formulaic, but if you add on a steel guitar, then it becomes bachata. And if you
Hmm.
take out the steel guitar and double time on the drums, then it becomes merengue. So they're very sound specific, but Tejano music takes its influence from country music and from rock and roll, and it's often half English and half Spanish and stuff like that. The stuff that I
Right.
was listening to, and I was just like, wow, like La Promesa and Mas and La Mafia from the early '90s, and so I really enjoyed it. And then one day, I through the magic of the internet, this is long before they were trolls and there weren't any
Oh yeah.
Facebook and everything else, but they were Merc chats or MIRC chats and stuff like that. And I was chatting with people all over the country, and they were talking about the Tejano Music Awards, and they asked if I could help out. And so I went to the 1994, I think it was, Tejano Music Awards, and we simulcast it. So I was part of the crew that actually set up the ERC chats over the internet, and we were chatting with fans, Tejano music fans, over 138 countries all over the world, and the stars would receive their awards, and they would do their little press conference at the podium in the back in the media room, and then would come to our room, and we would talk to the fans. We would, chat.
Right. Now this would be just speech, right? It wouldn't be video.
No, no, it was just video. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Because
just
video, remember back in the 90s, go dee, 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 dee,
Yeah, it
dee,
was
dee, dee.
not video. It was strictly just chat. It was just chatting, just like you would what we call text messaging now. Back then, it was over the keyboard and it was on a computer, and there were big
Yeah.
computers, monitors. I believe my monitor was 24 inches. It was insane. Look at that big old monster, 24 inches. Gosh, it was just, it was a huge
That was
monitor.
huge back then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And just to give people perspective, back then, there was no such thing as a gig of memory.
Oh no, not at
the
all.
the biggest I had the biggest drive in my computer at 550 megs.
That's nothing now.
Yeah, but that was a beast back then,
Yeah.
550. And I was on I would get this 3600 kilobytes internet connection. People don't even understand that that's less than a meg. That's not even a quarter. I mean, we're a little bit more than a quarter of a meg.
And those computers back then would generate a lot of heat.
Oh, it was
Oh,
a lot of heat. But yeah, we did. But we were also taking back then. We had the Sony. I mean, not the Sony. The Kodak digital camera. It was a big digital camera that
oh
took like
okay.
a 400 by 400 pixel picture that we were able to upload onto our computer and then send it over the internet, and people uh, um, could download it, could actually see, wow, this is live. Look, they just took this picture 5 minutes ago. The technology was new, but
Yeah,
we
they
were, I
could.
believe, and at the time, I've done some just general research. I've not really delved into it or anything else. We're not in the Guinness World Book of Records, but I do believe that we are the first people to ever have simulcast an award show over the internet because
Oh
it
wow.
didn't exist. Yeah, it didn't exist, and we did it every year since then. But I got a job in Arlington because I was living in San Angelo at the time, and I got a job in Arlington, and I just moved away, and it was just back then the speed limit was 55 miles an hour, so it took
Okay.
like 5 hours to drive from San Angelo San Antonio without
Yeah.
speeding,
So
and
you would
so
do it during the week and the weekend drive back.
well, I would only go to San Antonio during the weekend. I would work here in San Angelo during the week. But anyway, after that, I left. I left Tejano
Okay.
music, started doing a lot of corporate work. I was still DJing. I would still play some Tejano music, but I wasn't in the scene at all. And then I just recently returned, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
Okay.
when I started.
But I remember you telling me that you did sound and maybe lights for a lot of bands.
Yeah, I ran sound for quite a few bands, but it wasn't just Tejano music, Tejano bands. It was tropical bands and norteño bands, and whoever, because it was easy money. For me it was, at least. It was get to the location, hook it up, set it up, run sound, and if you're good, you can just set it up, and you don't have to constantly keep tweaking it. Um,
Yeah.
some people do. I don't know why, but I was never one of those people, because once it's working, why mess with it? The only
Okay.
time you have to mess with it is for, like, oh, he's got a lead, guitar lead on it. But I didn't know the music well enough to do it. Like, even when I was DJing. Well, if people ask me now, hey, could you play some norteño music? I'm like, you can, but not successfully, because I don't know the genre well enough to give it any justice. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I ran sound for a long time. I think I was on tour with a couple of bands, and I
I think you said Jay one time. I mean,
I've,
not one
I've,
time,
I've,
but you said
I've helped them out. Yeah, I've helped them out a couple of times,
yeah,
and different, just different bands, uh, smaller bands, bigger bands,
yeah.
norteño, tropical, a lot of tropical bands. Just, and that was insane, because bands that came from Mexico didn't have the newer equipment; they still had the older equipment, and so really tough, because
Hmm.
we had to fix it. As I had to fix it as I was going along. So can you imagine, the band is playing on stage, and here I am on the soundboard with the XLR cup hanging out of the board, and I've got the soldering iron in one arm and hot iron in the other one, and the wire here, and just trying to piece it
Do it on
together.
the
And then
fly.
yeah, put it back in and then stick in the cable. Nobody knew. The key thing is, as long as nobody knows, then it was a great
You're
job.
doing a great job.
Yeah, so it's like that. And then you have some bands you have to fill in, because somebody can't make it or something like that. And so people are like, can you play? No. I know songs. I can play the
Yeah.
drums to that song. I can play the guitar to that song. I don't know how to play. I mean, I had to learn it on the fly. Play it like this. And so that's the way I would do
Okay.
it. But
So
yeah, that was a lot of different sides. Did video as well. I did,
mhm.
a
Now,
lot of
didn't you
promotion
say you used
stuff.
to have a show? You did
Mhm.
you produced a show also back in the
I directed.
90s?
I directed
Or
actually three shows back in the '90s. It's Panorama, which is a long-running variety show here in San Angelo. I think we were on air like 11 years, 15 years, 11 to 15 years. It was like that. And then also Plugged In TV. That was for 3 years.
okay.
Connected. That was another one that was a couple of years there. And then, well, my Cuba TV's been up for like 2 years, but that's a Roku channel. So
Okay. How'd you get started on Roku?
um, it was a dare.
A dare?
Yeah, somebody said, "Oh, you." I was reading up on it, because I'm always trying to read stuff, and trying to learn. And a friend of mine, he was just like, "Oh, so what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm trying to figure out how to get a channel on Roku." "Oh, you can't get a channel on Roku, man. This blah blah blah." And I was like, "Okay." So it took me about 2 hours, and I was able to write the code, the JSON code for Roku.
Oh, I I I researched it a bit a couple years ago, but I never said, I'll forget about it. But
Well, I
it
think
looked
that
too
the
hard
deal
for
is,
me.
well, yeah, the code can be difficult. The code is kind of like a pseudo JavaScript. Okay, but the thing is that there's a wait time, because you have to have it approved. Somebody has to verify. Somebody has to look at
Hmm.
it and say, okay, this is approved. Then you have to have it as a free channel for a certain amount of time before you can start monetizing it. And
Okay.
it's also to approve the content that you're putting up, and that's kind of, so. I mean, the stuff that I didn't take me but 2 or 3 hours. The
Okay.
wait time took a couple of weeks waiting, but that was outside of my hands. I couldn't control that. But yeah, then I
So
started it up, and that was it. So
so is that just for channel approval, or every episode you put up there has to be,
no, I
uh,
mean
like
every episode has to fall within the guidelines. I mean, you can't be putting up porn or anything like that.
right,
But what you can do is you can keep adding on to your content. What they do is they'll periodically check your content and see,
okay.
they've validated, but I don't think that's actually somebody doing it. It's more like a bot system that's doing it. And bots they're just math problems. You're really good with math, aren't you?
Well, I do teach,
So
but,
if it's
if you asked me to do, uh, a double integration and you put a gun
no.
to my head, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. It's
How
been
about
so easy
linear
to me.
linear equations or nonlinear
Those I
equations?
teach every day, so yes, I could definitely do that.
so, so those are
Yeah,
kind of the same things. Whoa, wow, people are jumping in there.
okay. Oh,
Uh,
I only see people on YouTube. I don't see, Facebook.
well, that's what I'm saying. Rick, Phoenix, and Gracie, and all of them, they're saying hello.
Oh,
So
okay,
that's
so they're on
cool.
your I thought
They're
they
on
would
my.
show up on my feed also, I
I
guess
thought,
not.
well, they should show up on your feed, but you're going to have to click
Uh,
over to the social button on the side there
is
to
there a
show.
social button?
Mhm.
See, Lawrence is real good at this. I learned how to use this software from Lawrence. That's how we actually connected together like
Yeah,
that. And so there's a social
yeah, it's over to
uh,
your left of the screen,
to the
to your
bottom.
right, to your
To
right.
my
I apologize, to your right.
yeah. Okay. Well, I only see the YouTube people. I see Sam and I see Bumper.
Hey, Sam, how you doing, Bumper?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what Sam's up to. It says, "Good evening, buddy and Nemo." Oh, it's not Nemo. It's Lawrence, DJ Indio. So I know Nemo's on vacation. Hope they. Oh, I guess, if Nemo's paying attention or something like that, and I'm sure
Okay,
he's having a great time. And let's see, Bumper. He's just checking in, and see, he's on YouTube.
yeah,
And what did
that's cool.
Sam say? What's up, Bumper? I've been
Oh,
chatting up, on a lot of your interviews and great content.
I've been catching up to a lot of your interviews.
Okay. See, I can't read. I know there's a math reason. There's a reason why I'm a math guy.
it's There's
I
no
skip
interview there.
stuff.
So, yeah,
I'm
no,
dyslexic. Yeah, you're gonna have
real
to
quick,
make it for Nemo because he reads over me to check
yeah,
my grammar stuff like
real
that.
real quick for Bumper. The video that he's been posting as far as the Mexican Fiesta that was over in Wisconsin, that was really awesome.
Yeah. Oh
Good
yeah.
job, buddy, man. Keep doing the work that you're doing. I watch you. We travel in similar circles. Unfortunately, we haven't
Yeah.
met yet, but that's pretty cool. You know.
Well, if what well, I know you're probably gonna be there maybe for, fanfare next
Mm-hmm.
year. Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe we all can have brunch together
yeah,
or
that would
something
be
like that
cool.
when we're there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
and,
very cool.
yeah, and I think he said that he was gonna try to make it to Vegas, Tejano next year or next summer. And
Yeah,
so I had a great time
yeah,
doing
I
that.
did too. I did too. I think one of the things that they're focusing on what I saw earlier was Little Joe and Elida Reina are going to be kind of the focal points for this upcoming uh, Las Vegas show next year.
Okay.
Pretty
I know
cool.
Little Joe's doing a New Year's Eve party with
Yeah,
the
they're doing that New Year's Eve party. Yeah,
okay.
that's cool. So
Yep.
we
So
shall see. And that's where we met. It was really cool that we
yeah,
get to talk and everything else. But yeah, that's Roku. That was the thing. It was just to see if I could. Why not?
yeah.
You know,
How often do you update it?
um, I used to do it a lot. Now, here recently, I haven't had time to do it. Like I told you, I have health problems that sometimes prevents me
Okay.
from doing things, and sometimes I forget, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. I do
Oh,
get people reminding me, "Hey, will you put some stuff out?" I just recently updated with some of the stuff because I went and I attended the Ruby Ann's 281 takeover in Brownsville, Texas, which
okay.
was a really awesome show. It was really great. Lots of great people down there. It's a complete different experience for me because Southern Texas, first of all, you have to really get acclimated to the weather.
Yeah,
So
it's real
yeah.
hot.
Well, there it's hot and humid, and there's very little air. Like if you're on the beach, it could be humid, but the ocean breeze helps cool you down. It helps to keep it at a nice temperature. But
Yeah,
they're kind of like they're called the Rio Grande Valley, so they don't get
yeah.
that much air in there, and it's humid. Oh my gosh,
Oh
the
yeah.
humidity is like 70% at times. I remember the gas stations, like the gas stations used to have that, like the whole wall is made out of glass so that we can see all the stuff that's inside. And they would have the air conditioner real cold inside. And it was so hot and humid outside that it was so full of condensation you couldn't see inside the store.
Oh
That's
yeah.
how.
I
That's how.
I used to go to my grandparents used to live in Brownsville and right off of Boca Chica. And
Mhm.
my brother and my sister and I, we all went to A&M and we'd go visit them during spring break. And we'd get a rental property, rental a beach house in South Padre Island, but we would always take one day to go to see my grandparents and spend time with them.
In
But
Brownsville.
in Brownsville, and
And
it
the
does get hot.
yeah, and the running joke is, and did you see your mom?
With Nemo. I
I
saw my
know.
grandma.
He
Yes.
was just constantly
No, I
saying
you know
that.
what? That's funny you said that because I was telling my wife I hadn't seen them. When was the last time? I think I told Nemo I used to see them like every 6 to 8 weeks. It's
Uh,
getting close to that 8 weeks. I think my birthday's actually next week. And then so I'm not gonna visit them that week, but the following week is my parents' anniversary. So I'm gonna go visit them that week. So, uh, yeah, Nemo would be giving me hell right now, but yeah, definitely, yeah. So, now, how did you get? I know you said you through your wife you got into Tejano music and stuff like that, but what geared you to or sent you to become a DJ? I mean, 'cause go
oh,
ahead.
as far as a DJ, that was, you know, like right out of the military. And because of the fact that, I had a great love for music and, you know, I'm, for me, it was just the math that goes into music, the beats per minute, the way
Mhm.
it was, just the synchronicity of it all. And I was like, man, this is cool. And I heard a couple of guys in San Angelo, they were mixing and stuff. And I was like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, prove it. So I got on the I got on there and I started mixing and I was doing with vinyl and I was mixing it. And yes, there was the old waka,
Yeah.
the whole scratching thing and do it with your elbows and backwards and stuff like that. And then um, I think it kind of fell out of favor when cassette tapes came in and they started being more prominent because cassette tapes, they were much easier to carry. Can you imagine carrying around this big old box of albums that you had to pull out and they were all 12-inch mixes that you had to buy? You couldn't buy like the regular albums
Yeah.
and scratch with those. And then from the cassette tapes came the CDs, and I was DJing with CDs, believe it or not, and scratching with
Okay.
CDs, and then from there it just progressed to digital music the way it is now. And now when I DJ, it's usually just music videos, And so I have a video screen that I have with me,
Okay.
that I do.
D
And yes, I still DJ. I actually have a gig this coming weekend. So
Okay. Do you still have some vinyls?
I
Okay.
did have a whole bunch of vinyls, but my house was hit with a tornado. I think I told you this story.
Yeah.
Had a lot of
My
stuff, and the house got hit with a tornado and took everything away. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
there's a story that I don't know if I told you this story, but when I was uh, when I was in the military, I was at a location that I didn't get any mail, and you know, it was I was deployed this whole entire time. My wife wrote me every day,
Mhm.
and I didn't get any of them until I got onto the plane on the plane flight back. And when on the plane flight back, I got this huge stack of letters,
That
and so I read them all as I was coming back home, and those were all gone in the tornado,
Oh,
except for
no.
one. I have the one of the very first letters that my wife wrote me. when I was in the military. So
Okay.
you don't. You,
Right.
I think it's more prevalent with us that are older. We understand. We have more sentimental value with things we keep
Right.
for sentimental value, and we're not so cavalier with the stuff that we have. When you're younger, you're just like, I don't care about that. They don't have any, emotional significance. And now you're like, wow, because time is finite. You don't realize how much time you have used up
Yeah.
or wasted until you get to your older years, and you can value your time much more. You
Right. I grew up military, and my dad did 22 years. I always said I did 17 under him, and
know.
so I learned to detach real easily because we
Mhm.
used to move every 2 years. So uh, it drove my sister crazy because back in the days, we didn't have FaceTime or cell phones and stuff like that, and you had to handwrite everything. And I'm going, I'm dyslexic. I can barely read. I'm not gonna write people letters, but my
Mhm.
sister did, and
Yeah.
so I don't form a detachment to pretty much anything, except for people. I try like that,
And,
but
and
I
what about mom?
go ahead.
What about
What?
mom? What about mom?
My
Just
mom.
kidding.
My mom.
Just, just
Thanks.
kidding.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. I just you left that door open, so I had to walk
I
through.
did, but I think I told you my house got hit by a tornado
Yes,
in
you did.
North
Yes. Yeah.
Texas. Yeah,
Hmm.
but we didn't suffer any losses like you did. It just it like 2 streets down, it totaled their house, but ours we like a brick fence. My neighbor's brick fence fell into our pool. Uh, our a couple of my brick fences fell, and I know we had what else? The roof and a couple of things. We had a trampoline blow into our pool and stuff like that. Oh, and it messed up one of our cars too. So, but
Well,
other than that, it was okay.
for us, I, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was a Category 3,
Okay.
and it didn't. I don't know if it hit it directly or not, but what I do know is that it hit the garage and it opened up the garage. And ours is a ranch house, so the middle of the house, the beam is all the way through. So when you look at
Okay.
it, it's a very wide, like
It's like a
it resembles
barn type thing.
well,
It's
it
no
resembles a
int
trailer home. It resembles a trailer home, but it's an
okay.
actual house. There's no wheels on
Right.
it. It's on a slab. It just,
Yeah.
for lack of a better description, it's a freaking trailer home that has no wheels.
Right.
And
None of the interior walls are load bearing
no,
like
no,
that.
well, yeah, it did. It's just that the main beam through the middle of the
Oh
house
yeah,
is
except for
one
that
of
one.
the,
You're right.
yeah. And so what it did was, when we showed up, it was like, oh well, it just took out the side wall. We like, hey, we lucked out. It wasn't until we walked in where we saw the tornado had actually picked up the house, broke it in half, and then dropped it like this, with the house being completely still together. But when you walk
Oh
in, there's
wow.
like, oh, it literally broke it in half. And so the sidewall where the two-car garage was, all of that was gone. All you had was just the roof. Everything else that was inside the garage in the back room
So did the insurance like total it and they gave you money to buy a new house or they
was
fixed
not.
it?
It was in our house. My dad was a
Oh,
sharecropper. He was. It was part of the sharecropping deal, So it actually belonged to somebody else. So I don't know about that, but I do know that we ended up, my brother and I and my father, we ended up fixing the house ourselves, because back
okay.
in that day you couldn't, there were no carpets. You're going to go out in the country. You had to do everything your own. We were mechanics and carpenters and laborers and everything you needed. Plumbers. We did it all
Yeah.
because you know we lived out in the country. Our closest neighbor was like a quarter of a mile, three-quarters of a mile away. And you know how I say I'm just some guy from Vancourt, Texas. If you
Yeah.
look up Vancourt, Texas, it's a post office.
Oh,
That's it.
that's that's it. I like I said, I grew up military. I had neighbors all around me all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know what it's like to live in the country and stuff like that.
when
I
we
I
moved.
wouldn't be I wouldn't be able to. I don't know if that's. I'm a city boy. I don't think I would be in the country too long.
Yeah, no, I actually, when the more tired I get, the more obvious my accent is, So I really
Okay.
work at not having an accent. So
Yes. Well, you know several languages, right? How many
yeah,
languages?
six, six
6. Well, tell
plus
everybody else how
plus
many. I
citing
mean,
uh,
tell them what
Spanish,
languages.
Spanish and English, French, Italian, and Karen Cowan, and sign language.
Okay.
So, but
Wow.
I mean, I know
Y
some Latin, but Latin's a dead language. It's not.
Yeah. Well, most of the languages that you speak are Latin based,
Yeah, they're Latin based.
including English
German,
is yeah.
believe it or not, German is also Latin based. So I know enough German to get myself into trouble. So yeah.
I only know 9.
Nine,
That's it.
no,
Or whatever. Remember
no,
Hogan's Heroes?
Yangas, was ist los?
Yeah. And Hogan's
Niente,
Heroes said, "Jawohl, Kommandant." That's it.
ja, voll
That's it.
Kommandant.
I know nothing. For
Right,
those people
right.
are Hogan's Heroes fans.
Yeah, das
Uh,
Badania. Jawohl, Kommandant actually says, yes, sir. Yes, yes,
okay.
yes,
All right.
comrade.
Now, something that we've talked about before, just you and I, is that you do a lot of concerts, and how'd you get into doing that? Did it evolve from being a DJ?
Yeah. As a DJ, I did a lot of stuff, and then I got started. I used to be one of the main DJs at Graham Central Station in San Angelo, and from
Is that a
there,
radio station?
no, no, Graham Central Stations used to be like a club that had like five clubs in one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it was just this huge building, and people here in Texas, if you're from Southwest Texas, I'm sure. I hope that you there was a Grams in San Antonio, there was a Grams in San Angelo and Abilene and Midland,
I think
Odessa.
Dallas used to have a club like that. They had like 4 or 5 clubs within it. You
Yeah, so
walk into a different room, different type
yeah,
of music,
different type. There was country one was country, one was Tejano, one was rock, and then there was a karaoke one, and so
disco.
yeah, disco, whatever. It was like that. But I
Yeah.
was in the Tejano room, and from there, there was a local Tejano station, KYZZ here. I did some
Mhm.
stuff there, and then I started working for the major Spanish station here, and that was Casi Jotete. And I would do their weekends Tejano shows, and then after that, I became program director there. And that's when I started bringing in bands and getting relationships with different band members and stuff like that. And I was putting on different shows, and so I would bring them to different locations, and forming those
Relationships and
friendships,
stuff.
yeah, those
Yeah.
relationships. But I also did a lot of promoting stuff, because internet was just starting to really take on, and I have a computer science degree, so I did a lot of website design and promoting like that. That's how I got my relationship with Shelly Lares. I used
Mhm.
to be with a lot of the guys from La Fiebre, Culturas back in the day, and so um, yeah, just I had the opportunity, so I just started bringing in the musicians that I knew I could count on to put on a good show, and then
Mhm.
also um, some artists they price themselves out of the way. So if you have a certain budget, you don't even they lose gigs because they're like, well, I hear you, they're $15,000, and I only have
Yeah.
five, so I'm not going to even ask them, and that's not necessarily true because a lot of times you don't know if you're dealing with the artist or if you're dealing with a promoter who
Promoter.
wants to make money. So, but that's one of the things that was, you know, where I came in and I helped out people because of the fact that I was able to, you know, navigate through that. No, he's a promoter. He's going to try to make money regardless of how much money you have. He's going to
Right.
try to get more. He's like a car salesman. Okay, dude, we can make this deal if you can just get another $500 down.
Yeah.
Wait, you just said we have a deal, but yeah, yeah, no, it's definite if you have more $500 more. How about $150 more? Dude, make up your mind. It's one of those conversations. And so, but
Yeah.
yeah, I started doing that, and I've done some big shows, and I've done some smaller shows. Some successful and some not successful. You know, I believe that I know like the formula of what would work and what doesn't work, and so I
Yeah.
attach myself to things that will work and not to things that won't work.
Yeah, and I remember we had a conversation last week about you're trying. You might be, since you heard how DFW is with new artists. I think you said you wanted to try to do something here in North Texas, help promote
Definitely.
some new up and coming artists and stuff. And
Yeah,
uh,
I think the problem is that people fall into the little rut that they have. Like here in
hmm
San Angelo, the people that I brought up here to the car show, they didn't have a lot of experience here. As a matter of fact, they were all new artists that had been playing here. I
yeah,
think CBD, the last time he came up here, he was with Jimmy Gonzalez at the time, and Mario O, I believe he was with Jay Bettis when he came up here. So they were never artists that were individual artists. They were always
hmm
attached to other bands and stuff like that. And the deal is, it's like here. Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Signal came down the same weekend or the Friday before,
hmm
and they didn't hardly do anything. And it's not the
wow,
quality of their music, it's the fact that they've been here like 10 times. And I'm just exaggerating. I don't know how many times they've been here, but I know it's been several times here during the year. And
they
that's
oversaturated the
it
area.
oversaturated the area. Why would they want to come? Oh, no, I saw them last time,
Oh,
whatever.
they'll be here in a couple months or a
Yeah.
couple more
So
weeks.
what? Yeah. And that kills the industry.
Right.
And people, promoters, sometimes they fall into the rut, much like the movie industry. Well, hey, it's the same thing. It's a good thing. We'll just That's why there's so many remakes of old movies. Or there's a lot of, well, we got to do another Marvel's, comic book hero movie or something like that. Everybody wants to go along those lines because it worked, and that's
Right.
why it works, and
Now,
we're going to keep doing it.
there, the people out there in YouTube, Facebook, they don't know that you're a prolific writer and you have several screen plays. Lawrence has shared with me some of the plays and the movies, and they're awesome. I keep on trying to get him. You need to go out and sell those or market those out into the industry because those are some wonderful stories. How many do you have?
I've got 17 scripts and
Yes.
4 books. So
Yeah, so if anybody, if any of the Toronto artists out there is uh, have a conversation with Lawrence and tell him you need to put out some of these stories because they're awesome. Like he was just at Vegas, he was telling me a few of them, and I was going, "Then what happened? Oh my god!" I
yeah.
said, "That's not one thing. That's like three movies right there."
Yeah, I
Like
know.
that.
I was
So
like, it's just, I believe, who was it? I can't remember now. But he was a good writer. He was a Pulitzer Prize winning writer, and they asked him, what does it take to become a writer? And he goes, if you wake up in the morning and you want to write, then you're a writer. You know,
mhm,
and the keys to having a good script, a good story, or anything is just writing what you know. What is it that you know? And even fanciful things, even fantastic things, that are fantasy and stuff, you can still write about it and ground it in reality, or ground it with some sort of thing that you attach it to. You know, it's, I don't know. I think the creative mind sometimes it's, I'm glad that I have a creative mind. I mean, that I think that's why it helps me so much. Why so many people look for my posters and
uh-huh,
my flyers, my digital video promotions, because they're so different from everybody else's stuff.
yeah,
But I think on a different plane than a lot of people. I just kind of, I don't know.
yes,
It's kind of
A-
weird,
and you're a great cook too.
I guess. Yeah.
Hit that.
Well,
Yeah, Gracie doesn't. Gracie probably didn't know she hit the jackpot with you.
I don't think so. I think she was like, "Damn it! Why do I get this one?" I drew the short straw.
Oh yeah.
No, because, well, we have this agreement. The agreement is that um, I cook and she cleans.
Yeah.
So we just celebrated 35 years not too long ago, this past June.
Congratulations.
Thank you so very much. And aside from the times that I was deployed when I was in the military, or we were separated because of jobs, um, I cooked every meal. I've cooked every meal for her
Yeah.
if we were in the
She's a
same room.
lucky girl. I wish my wife would. I cook a lot of meals, but mine don't get as fancy as yours. I mean, I
That's
grilled chicken. I grilled chicken last yesterday.
right.
Okay, and I
That one
put some ciabatta bread and some mayo and mustard and a
that's
tomato.
it. That's thrown out in. What is this?
Yeah,
It's a lettuce wrap. You just
yeah,
didn't have time to get bread, did you? You
yeah.
just like
I should throw in some lettuce. I need to lose a lot of weight. But you know what? I think I told you my birthday is next Monday. I usually try. I'll be 57. Uh, I know I don't look it.
no, you
Did
don't.
I
You
tell
don't
you I have
look.
the secret of I have a secret? How to
Mm,
look young?
how's that?
It's the fat pushes out the wrinkles. Like that. So I
Well,
tell that to all my
I can guarantee you, you don't look a day over 58. So there
oh,
you go.
thanks. All right. But I try to make life changes on my birthday. If I'm going to do something that's going to affect my life more, I try to do it on my birthday. So I'm going to try to be I'm going to try to make a few changes next week.
So
I don't like
what,
to verbalize them to
oh,
other
you just,
people.
yeah, okay. So I was just going to ask you, what was it? One of the things that you're thinking about, it's just
Well,
like me.
yeah,
Go ahead.
one is to lose weight. I'm getting tired. I've got a 7-year old. She's running me ragged, and then I've got a couple projects. You and I discussed the other
Mhm.
projects, and I want to jump on those. And so I have to stop watching as much TV or YouTube and stuff like that to regain some of the back of the time that I need to work on the projects. And
The death,
so
the death of all creativity is complacency and procrastination.
yes, well well it's hard for me to sleep, and so the only way I calm my head down or my mind down is to watch numbing type of programming where I don't have to think, I can laugh, and it soothes my mind enough to calm down and fall asleep. Because there are times I have these creative juices that I want to do, and I kill myself mentally because so hard on myself. Said, you know what? I should be doing this rather than watching TV. And uh, I have a very bad habit, and I think my daughter has a bad habit. So I tell her that she can't watch TV during the weekday, only in the morning. It's got to be educational, but after school she can't because it's like terrible habit like that. But
So,
go
so,
ahead.
so you watch TV, but you don't let her watch TV.
Eh, I told you it's a habit, right? I can't. It's like crack for me. It's the only thing that calms me down.
It's not crap.
I don't
It's
even
an
I don't
addiction.
even watch TV. I watch YouTube like
Oh,
that
okay. So
mostly.
you're one of those. Yeah, there's a lot of people
Yeah.
that are like that. That get caught up into the whole. I've done it myself. I've done it to where I've got caught up in just watching a lot of YouTube. Now, I when I first started watching YouTube, I was one of the critics of YouTube because
Oh
of the
yeah.
fact there was a lot of garbage that's on YouTube
Oh
that
yeah.
you're like, oh gosh, this is just a waste of my time. And then it was easier to fall into the trap if you weren't, a connoisseur of YouTube and music or of YouTube videos, then
Yeah.
you would fall into the trap of, the clickbait and all this other stuff. And so you'd
Oh,
watch,
I go down rabbit holes all the time.
yeah, and you're like, oh my gosh, why
Oh
am I
yes.
wasting time? If I find you
Yes.
on the street, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth because you just took 15 minutes of my time. So
Yes.
yeah.
You know, I okay. I think last week I told everybody that I was starting a YouTube streaming. Oh no, I didn't say that. I said that in the town hall that we belong to. But
Hmm.
last week we had at my college we had club fair, and I started a YouTube streaming show. Oh yeah, I did tell because Nemo was asking about it. And so I saw a little documentary about social media on YouTube, of course,
Hmm.
and it talked about the dissatisfaction that a lot of creators have. Because a lot of people, a lot of kids nowadays, they want to create content and they think it's a quick way to get rich,
Right.
and it's not. So, and then through this documentary, I'm going, Oh my god, maybe I shouldn't have started the streaming show. I mean, not the streaming show, but the streaming club,
The streaming club.
because now
Well,
you know
let me jump here with this. Okay, one
go
of the
ahead.
things that I see a lot of that I try to stay away from is like that. I find a lot of what really annoys me is there's those shows where the host is
Mhm.
completely like completely, off like a coin, two sides. You see two sides of one. The intro is like, "What's going on, guys?" Blah blah blah, and then you come back to him, and today we're going to be talking about this, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's completely fake. I think
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way I'm going to go around doing that. I am who I am. I've always been this
Right.
person. You know me. I joke around all the time. I'm always laughing about stuff, and so I find the more genuine you are, the more people tend to gravitate toward your content, and I think that's where
Yeah.
people lack this. They need to understand that there's some sincerity that has to come along with your content in order for you to be
Mhm.
successful at it. Because if not, then it just won't work.
Yeah. Now, I remember when I first started, when I did the TV show back in the '90s, I did it for, I guess, for Tejano's sake, because I wanted to watch the videos back in the day, and the only thing was Tejano country, and it would be on a Saturday or late at night after midnight or early Sunday morning, which most people aren't going to watch it, or if you didn't have a VCR back then, you couldn't
Right,
tape it. I program my I and it would never be consistent. It wouldn't be at 12:30 every Saturday. They'd
right.
move it according to their whim. Whoops, the whim and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I would record it for 3 hours, and
Oh
so
wow.
yeah, for 3 hours, I put a 3 hour tape just so I can hit the Tejano country and watch the videos. And I decided, oh, one of the reasons one of the reasons why I started the club at my college is because I was getting complacent. I was, well, not complacent, but I was upset that the community college had a how do you say that, restructuring, and they took the community out of our community college, and so students wouldn't stick around after their classes. Faculty would only stay a minimum amount of hours and then head out. So there was no community going on. And I got tired of complaining, not being able to say. So that's why I started a club. You know,
So how do you get the community out of your college, though? I don't understand. I
other
mean,
than other than taking the word community out of community college, because we used to be called Dallas County Community College, and now we're
mhm.
called Dallas College. And
Oh,
we
okay.
yes, they took the community out of it, but it actually did take our community. There and we have Dallas County Community College, we had 7 campuses. I mean 7 colleges in there. But now we're not all colleges, now we're all campuses. So
Oh, wow.
Eastfield, we're not Eastfield College anymore, we're Eastfield campus. So the student life department kind of was lacking at this time. We used to have festivals, at least once a month. They would have activities. We would feed the students. They'd have play music and all that, and that just died out like the past 2 years. So they took it. They took reasons out of for students to stay. And normally, when I last week when I did the club fair, w- before COVID, we'd have like 20 or 30 clubs, tables for people recruiting. This time we had less than 10.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I felt real bad. And I'm glad I'm starting it. And I just emailed them yesterday to figure out what time and day we could meet. But I got onto that story because I did the same thing, started Tejano Time back in the '90s because there was no video way you could watch the videos. So I said, you know what? When I found out that I could produce my own show and get videos, I said, I'm not going to just sit around and wait for something to happen. I'm just going to do it. And I knew I was going to do it. It wasn't going to be the best thing in the world, and but at least it was bringing it into the audience, and some people I don't know how to say this, that they said I was a big part of Tejano music in North Texas, and it makes me feel good, but I don't think I was a big part because I think it was a friend of mine was saying that another person was trying to get a, co- uh, a symposium of the Tejano people that influenced Tejano music in North Texas, and they asked me, and I was going, "You want me like that?" So I was a
Mhm.
little show, a cable show, and stuff like that. I would start off uh, cable access, and then I did that. I did it for like 3 or 4 years, and so and it kind of I felt honored to be in that. And I told them who else you're going to have, and then they said, "Well, we're starting this, but we definitely want you." And I said, "Well, you definitely want Pancho Pistola on there. You
Mhm.
definitely want Nemo on there." And I said, "In Medico, if it wasn't for Medico, my camera guys, AKA's pro- associate producer now, there would be no Tejano music. I mean Tejano time, and like
Yeah.
that." But oh, that reminds me. Did you ever get a? Did you and Medico ever hook up yet? Because he was feeling sick last week.
He was feeling sick, and he said he was going to call me back this weekend. And so I haven't heard
Okay.
anything from him. He may have called and not left a
Okay.
message, but from what I understand, no, he has not. He has not
Okay.
left me a message or anything else. That's
Okay.
okay. I mean, things happen. Life happens,
Yeah.
and see,
I'll,
I
I'll
can
check.
see. Yeah,
I'll
I can
check
see
on
where
it.
you're coming from as far as the show. That's kind of what I did.
Hmm.
Mike approached me about East Panorama. Mike wanted to be the host, and he wanted to interview Dills and everything else. And I was like, well, I have the cameras, I have the equipment, I have the knowledge, and
Yeah.
so I actually ran a two-camera system by myself. I directed it, and I ran both cameras at the same time, and the sound, and
Yeah.
produced all the commercials and videos and everything else.
Wow. That's a lot of work.
Mhm. So when you
And
would
I
see
bet
the
you did.
when when you see the credits, just like director, associate director, blah blah blah, producer, blah blah blah. My
Yeah.
name was every. After a while, I was just like, just leave my name out of it. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's just
I understand. I did the same thing for the first couple shows. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna put director and host of it, and that's it.
that's it.
And
Yeah.
but and that's another reason why I started, Tano Talk,
Hmm.
because I missed it, because of my friend who passed away a little over a year ago, and I do miss it, and I hope I do contribute. I guess I do contribute to the
I, I
Tejano industry, just
I do
being
because of the
part
fact
of
that
that.
the topics are a little different than what's normally been talked about. It gives a different perspective for people that are
Right.
like us. For people that know me, some people know me as a DJ, some people know me as a radio guy, some people know me as, photographer or a
Hmm.
videographer or
Hmm.
all these different facets, but they don't understand that, there's more complexity to what it is that I am
But
and
most
who I
most
do.
people know you as y- a friend.
Yeah,
You're
friend.
like a
Absolutely.
real great friend,
Yeah.
like that.
Well, I would
Yeah.
hope so. What kind of
Yes.
a person would I want? What kind of a person
What kind of
could I
legacy would you?
be? Yeah, my
Yes.
legacy is not necessarily leaving my legacy behind, but just
Mhm.
questioning yourself of what manner of man could you be if you did not try to make this world a better place? That's
Yeah,
not me.
that's
That's
fair.
Nietzsche, but you know,
Yeah.
uh, that's the we should. I have always said that I strive every day to live my life in a way that my children will be as proud of me as I am of them, and
Yes.
so uh, part of the polarity that we have in life today in society today. There's so much polarization that
Hmm.
uh, it could all be diminished with just simply being a good person to each other, and get away from all this grief and one-sidedness that is it's not only ignorant because being one-sided is ignorant, that you only know one side, hence one-sided. you know
Yeah.
um, it's ignorant, but it's also it's it's just non-constructive. There's no constructiveness in it, and
Right.
we should. It's innate in our DNA to try to be constructive in some way, shape, form, or fashion. No one
Yeah.
really wants to grow up and just be destroying everything.
Right.
And
But some people do, and
well,
that
this is
shows their immaturity.
yes,
And
yeah, yeah.
yes,
You can be
okay,
50 and be immature. So let's just
yes,
say that out there as well. Age has nothing to do with it. Immaturity is not based on age. It's just based on
okay,
personal growth. But
yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, thank you for asking those questions. It's really interesting that you see that you bring it up, and I'm kind of embarrassed by it actually, because I'm like, I don't really think of that kind of stuff. I just did it because I did it. I didn't really.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, like I
I
said,
made it.
you have a kind heart and stuff like that, and it shows in all your actions and your dealings with the people that seek out your help, and it
Yeah.
and it, and I cherish our friendship, and oh my God, it's almost 8 o'clock now. It's almost past Nemo's bedtime, I guess. But you know
But
what?
I
Let's.
don't. I don't have a bedtime, so.
I know, I know. I try to keep this around an hour because Bumper he does it for 2 3
I know
hours.
Bumper does his for a long
Oh
time, and that's
yeah,
why I enjoy watching it. It's
yes,
just that I have to have little time markers so that way I can go, oh, okay,
yes.
so I can see like all the different deals. I'm trying to see what the comments
Okay.
are on mine now because
I
there's
know we
quite a few
haven't touched.
comments.
Let's see. Okay, I can't see the Facebook one. So are there a few that you want to point out, or just say hi or give a
Um,
shout out to?
Here, let me see if I can bring them up real quick.
Okay. Well, I will. I've got Sam in here a few times. It says, let's see, Sam Lawrence, class of '87, Central High. Sam's
Yeah.
from San Angelo.
Hey, Sam,
Okay.
how are you doing? Nice
Yes.
to see you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Yes, I am from class of 1987. You didn't have to put that out there. I know I'm old.
Hey, I'm older than that. I'm class of '83. You know,
Well, I
that's
do want
young
to
in my
mention
book.
some people here that I saw just now. First of all,
Okay.
Gracie's on here. So, hey, Grace, how you doing?
Hey, Gracie.
We already said hello to Bumper, who's really cool.
Yeah.
Norma Salazar is a big supporter. We talked to her there at Las Vegas. Norma Salazar from
Yes.
Holland, Michigan.
Okay.
That's a really interesting place. Her husband George Salazar, he's an actual artist. A good friend of mine here in San Angelo. We used to be who is a DJ here, DJ 69 Orlando Cardenas. He's also what did he say? Well, he just put on there Puro Tejano. He's a big Tejano supporter.
Okay.
And then Gracie did say, I am lucky.
I believe it.
I'm
Yeah.
just some guy from Vancouver, Texas. That's it. She's not the lucky one I am. But
You
Jenny
both are
B's,
lucky. She's a
yeah.
great lady.
Oh, yeah, she's
I enjoyed
wonderful.
meeting her too.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Jenny
thanks,
B.
Gracie, for letting me borrow Lawrence for the show.
Yeah. She's like, take him. Go, go, don't come back. Yeah, Jenny B, she's also one of the artists that performed this past week. And she said hello. Thank you.
Okay.
And a lot of people
And
here from all over. What is it? Michigan, Houston, San Antonio. Wow, San Angelo.
okay. Let's
That's
see.
cool.
Sam's got a few things in here. Let's
Okay,
see.
Sam, come on, hit him with the questions. Let's see what's up.
Well, he's just saying. I don't think he's. They're all statements because I guess we were talking a lot and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
What's a? So RGV has their own lingo. What's
Mhm.
RGV?
The Rio Grande Valley has their own
Oh,
lingo
okay.
as
Oh
well.
yeah.
We're here in
Yes.
West Texas and some of a
Who's
few
that?
others.
Rock and Roll James. He does hashtag PVT. I think he calls it PVT stands Professional Valley Talk. So
Professional Valley Talk.
Valley
What
Talk.
is
I think that's what
Professional
he said.
Valley Talk?
Yeah. And let's see
That's
what
funny. I
else.
always thought it was private. Just PVT is private.
I thought it was a Puro Vida,
Oh yeah,
Tejano.
good one. Yeah, I remember
That's
the
what I
Pura.
thought.
I've actually helped out at the Pura Vida Awards too. There used to
Yeah.
be a Pura Vida Awards a long time ago.
Wait,
This was
I
pretty cool.
think, wait, do I have that here? I'm not sure if I showed this, but can you see that?
Oh yeah, you showed it to me. Puro Tejano. Yeah.
Yeah, Puro Tejano. Uh, oh, wait, that's not Pura Vida.
No,
I was
Pura
thinking
Vida.
wait,
Yep.
Pura Vida Awards, wasn't it? Or Pura
Yep.
Tejano?
No,
I
Pura
can't
Vida
remember.
Awards. Yeah, Pura Vida Awards.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually,
And
on my YouTube channel, there is some music from a local band called Los Tejanos, and it's a couple of songs from the Pura Vida Awards there, which is pretty cool.
okay.
I've got a question for you, and this
For
this
me?
came up. Yes, this came up
Okay.
this came up, and this is an opinion piece, and so obviously any opinion is a good opinion, and there's no such thing as a bad opinion, a wrong answer.
Well,
But well, as long as it's not hateful,
we'll find out.
yeah. But the thing that was questioned to me, or not questioned, but I I talked to several artists, and it is a very difficult to tour with
Hmm.
a large band. So
Okay.
some of them like to perform with just tracks.
Right.
But I've talked to promoters who are like, I don't want anybody with a track, as in using tracks or some sort of lesser music than, you know, having a live
Most
band. Have it for me. Here's my perspective. My
Okay.
perspective is
You're gonna
if
ask
you,
me a question.
yeah, I know.
I got an
Oh,
opinion already. I got to,
okay, go ahead and share
go
your
ahead.
opinion, and
Well,
then I'll
no,
go ahead and just
finish
share
your
my.
question.
Well, the question is, do you valid or is it? Do you see a person, an artist who can sing on tracks and not, and I'm not saying sing along with the song, but actually it's just instrumentals and it's their vocals and singing with a band, do they have the same value in your eyes, or is one lesser or than the other?
Before I answer that, let me preface this answer, okay?
Hmm.
Every other genre of concerts, they lip sync their concerts because they do all their dance and stuff like that. I I think it's valid. If they have just a music track back there and they sing over it, like I think I shared this before that when I went to San Antonio and saw Elisa Marie on
Yeah,
it, their band that she performed with made my experience awful. Even though she was great, she danced and she was pretty and the vocals were good, the timing was off, and I could just
right.
tell. I mean, you and I have a different perspective because we're used to being around the
Yeah,
bands.
we've been exposed
Eh
to a lot of music, a lot of different
Yes,
genres of music and
yes,
facets of it. Yeah,
and you could tell that band wasn't a traveling band for her. That was
right,
just a couple people picked up, and what ticks me off is that they didn't give her the respect that she deserved about learning her music. They said they probably heard her say, "Oh, I've heard it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Got it." And then they don't got it.
right.
So I would
That
much more rather have like a bunch of artists have their track in the back and then sing and dance and perform, and I would enjoy that experience just like that. So yes, I think it's very valid, and rather than have a horrible experience with a backup band that doesn't know the music and makes it worse like that. So
here's
yeah.
been my experience, and I have two sides of this because I've experienced this both as an engineer
Hmm.
with music behind the scenes, and also as a promoter,
Hmm.
bringing in bands and paying for their performances.
Right.
Now, as a promoter, I despised some bands' openness or willingness to just take forever, purposely, for no reason other than they just
Kill
don't want to
time.
play. Yeah, they want to kill time. And
Right.
then on stage, and this is my promoter side, by the way, and they're on stage and it's like, oh, we're just going to play, you know, we're going to give everybody a chance to shine on their instrument, and they just do that to kill 10 minutes of time because they don't have the
Right.
catalog. You know,
Right.
that to me is just, as a promoter, I wouldn't stand for it at all.
Right.
As in, you know, doing sound or lights for a band, then
Hmm.
it was like, pop a beer, bro. We're gonna get paid for this time just BSing on stage.
Yeah.
My honest opinion about females, or not females, but artists with tracks, and it's only came up because of this past weekend, is if you are playing singing to a track, I think it takes talent to sing along with a track because you have to be on
Yes.
time. That
Yes.
inadvertent metronome is there, tick 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 tick
Right.
tick. I really appreciate it because when you're playing on metronome, you're playing on time that is the song. And if you can also sing and sound like your release, that is
Mhm.
even better.
Better.
That means
Yes.
you are way miles ahead of other people. Having a band doesn't necessarily mean that it's more it deserves more payment to me at all. In all
Right.
honesty, there's a lot of bands. There are very few people that deserve that, you know,
Like a
big
premium.
band, that premium deal because a lot of times they're not in time. I've heard them. I've heard some bands live. I've been to a lot of concerts, open air concerts, outdoors, or these different community events where they have bands and everything else. And I can tell you right off, just from my ear of being an engineer, I can say, man, that drummer is just racing, just.
Yeah.
And the bass players, one in particular, the bass player was struggling to keep up, and the
Oh,
accordion guy, he was going so fast that the accordion guy was skipping, he was
right.
skipping notes just to try to stay in tune. And no, I don't want to hear that. I want to hear
Right.
great music, but I didn't come to hear the band play. I came to see the singer sing.
Right.
And if he or she puts on a great show, then they put on a great show. It's very difficult to do it by yourself up on stage, but it's not unheard of. It's
Right.
not. How many rap artists bring bands?
Oh, yeah. I know. Like I
You know,
said, most of every other genre. Like I saw, who is like Ricky Martin back in the day. He didn't sing live,
no.
and I saw Janet Jackson. She didn't sing live. They put
Mhm.
on a good performance in the background because it's hard to dance and sing at the same time. But Selena danced and sang at the same time, and that was good. Uh, who else?
Jenny B, by the way, she performed this past weekend,
Yeah,
and that stage was 20 foot by 18 feet, and she used every inch of that stage, man. And
yeah.
she was singing, and I was like, oh my, I couldn't. I was like, when do you breathe? It was a great show,
Called
but
cardio.
yeah, it's a great show, but it was very well. It was very well received. it,
Yeah.
it gave me much more respect for her in the sense that I know what it takes for me just to walk and breathe and talk,
Hmm.
but for her
Climb
to
some
be
stairs
dancing,
for me.
yeah,
Oh,
and right, and for her to be dancing all over stage, singing in tune, keeping in time with the song, staying in the pocket, that was just amazing. So yeah, that was one of the questions that I had. I was just like, there's no way I'm the only one that thinks that I'd rather hear a person sing with tracks because of the fact that
oh
the
yeah,
music is going to be on time. And I don't have to wait around hearing bling 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 si 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 uno
yeah,
dos si. Come on,
yeah.
that's a load of
Now,
crap.
now, I do enjoy a good band with a good
Oh
singer.
yeah, oh
I
yeah,
mean, I probably would pay a premium to see a traveling band that with their singer, but to hear a lousy backup band that doesn't take the time to learn the artist's music, it just kills it for me. Like Bobby, I found out through various people that he doesn't travel with the band. He always has a backup band and stuff. He doesn't travel with merch and stuff. He has
yeah.
other people do it. He just gets a bag, his guitar, I guess, and then shows up, and everybody knows his stuff, and he plays along. Now that's that works perfectly for him, but
Yeah,
he's got a
those are
catalog of
yeah,
music.
he's also probably. I'm pretty sure he has studio musicians or what they call. I can't remember what the name of them for those artists, but yeah, that I just I think the unfortunate part is that people don't see the validity of it. Um, and I believe using here Miguel's jumping in here. Let me read this one because I
Okay,
value Miguel Hernandez has got one of these smoothest voices that's that's in Tejano today. He sounds like a Ram Herrera, and
okay.
he's got a smooth voice. Very great guy. Really, he knows it. And he's a
I haven't
producer as well.
I haven't had the honor to hear him.
I'll
Like
share
I
some
said,
music with you. Trust me, he's
okay.
awesome. He says
I've been
lots
out
of
of it
bands.
for. Right.
Right.
I've been out
He
for
said,
20 plus years.
right. Welcome back. He says
Thanks.
lots of bands are using backing tracks. All mainstream artists use them. Luis Miguel, Lady Antebellum, etc.
Mhm,
It doesn't take away unless they don't do it right. Now
mhm,
that's a different story. And this is true. I thank you, Miguel. I appreciate that from you because that's what I'm saying is that there it exists in all genres of music outside of Tejano music. And
mhm,
for that train of thought to sit there and say that artists are not artists because of the fact that they're using backing tracks, that to me is it's
ludicrous.
antiquated. It's antiquated is what it is.
Yes.
And I was like, part of my we didn't talk about the radio station as far as why I started the radio station.
Mhm,
But when I started pushing Tejano music, the one thing that I said, my motto was going to be simple. It was to support, educate, and promote Tejano music. And the
mhm,
education part comes from what is Tejano music and what does it take to promote Tejano music. Some of these ideas are antiquated that need to be taken out. One of the things that I cannot identify with because I'm not, I don't live along those lines of being a Mexican and everything else, is I don't have a yearning, a yearning to revalidate or constitute my Mexican roots.
yeah,
If you call yourself a Mexican, but you don't have any family that you visit in Mexico, you're an American. You've been here, 5 generations.
alright,
Your grandmother was born here. Your grandpa was born here. I mean, what is the yearning for you to validate? I'm Mexican. I damn it, I am 100% Mexican. Dude, let it go. As long as you
yeah,
acknowledge it and do not disrespect it, that is where you start. And the true essence of culture is understanding it, remembering it, and educating yourself of it. When I
mhm,
was in the hospital after my surgery, my very first physical walk, I had two physical therapists that actually helped me, and they needed me to walk so that way the blood would be moving in my legs. The first thing that I did,
mhm,
my accomplishment, my goal was to reach the window, and I wanted to see the sun. And when I saw it, I started to pray, and they thought, what's going on, what's going on, and my wife had to tell them he's praying because we're supposed to see the sun and appreciate what Father God has given us.
mhm,
And that is celebrating your culture. It's doing what is part of your culture. I don't have to validate it by, oh, now I have to make sure that everything sounds like Mexico when you haven't ever been. I've been to Mexico twice. Both times I was drunk, so I don't know if they count. So actually it's
yeah,
4 times, but it's still I think Tejano music is lovely. It's wonderful because of all the different variances in it, all the different flavors. It's a conglomerate of different kinds of
yeah,
music and influences, and that's what makes it so super amazing and awesome.
yes,
And the only way that it's going to grow is if we allow it to grow and get away from these antiquated ideas that it has to be this and it has to be that.
right. Hey, you know what? I think Tejano fans are probably the only fans like this where we like several genres.
Hmm.
And it's not just Tejano. We like rock, we like country, we like jazz, we like salsa, merengue, uh,
Right,
reggaeton, everything,
right,
including Tejano music. But
correct.
you don't find that in other genres. You
No,
know, there.
I,
Yeah.
I found it. I find it as well in DJing,
Uh huh.
um, because I DJ all music. I can mix Tejano music. I can mix Tejano cumbias into country music,
Hmm.
and country music into disco, into 80s music, and back to cumbias because I'm a DJ. I call myself a DJ because I can do all of them. But I
Hmm.
know DJs that call themselves, I'm a DJ, and all they play are cumbias. That's
Yeah.
not a DJ.
Yeah.
You're you're a cumbia DJ, or all I play is norteño. Well, then you're a norteño DJ. But
Hmm.
I don't do that. I play it all, and so that is my liking, my kin to Tejano music, and that's kind of one of those things that you know. I love about Tejano music, but then it's also kind of confusing why some people, um, they get mad. I've had people get mad at me because I won't put norteño on my radio station, and
Okay.
my response is always the same, and it will always be the same. There's a ton of norteño stations out there. If you want to hear norteño, listen to them.
Mhm.
Because if you want to hear norteño on Cubo Radio, you're not going to hear it. It's
Yeah.
100% Tejano.
Well, this show is Tejano also. I mean,
Mhm.
I do put some. I like. I'll probably like some people think that Michael Salgado is he Tejano, is he not, and like that. To me, I consider him Tejano because when I started in the Tejano industry, he was there. So in my eyes, he's Tejano no matter what genre. He could dabble in any kind of music he wants to. I consider him a Tejano artist like that. But so this show, I'm only gonna put people I think are Tejano, and
Yeah,
so like
I laugh is because on my Facebook, my buddy Orlando Cardenas at DJ 69, he's
okay.
like I said, he's a big Tejano supporter, and he goes, "What is norteño?"
Oh, here's a
Norton,
purist.
right? I used to make fun of it, just joking around. I didn't realize that it was hurting people's feelings, but for me, it was a joke. Well, not no offense, but I would always say, "You want to hear Norton? No, Norton, no." They were like, "No, Norteño, Norton, no."
No.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't have it. And honestly,
Oh,
you know, I couldn't.
I I just read something from
Go ahead.
Jerry. He's a longtime fan of this. He
Hey,
just
Jerry.
said that, yeah, and he said that George Zarate is announced that he's
Jorge.
bringing back his band.
Yeah,
No, it's
Jorge
George.
Cerate.
No, he
Or
goes by George.
George.
I
Okay.
think. I think it was George. I think he goes.
Jay is a
Oh,
Jorge,
Jorge.
so
Yes, I know, but I think
Cerate. Yeah,
back in the day we called him George. I think, but my memory's gone. But he's a local band. I think he was doing mariachi for a while, but he was with Grupo Lasso. And
yeah.
have you heard of him before?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
And I enjoyed his band back in the day. One of my friends, Carlos, he played keyboards for Z- Grupo Lasso. Oh, there it says Grupo Lasso right there.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm glad that he's bringing back the band. I'm hoping that shows like ours and Bumpers and Rock and Roll James and other people are starting to bring back the genre into. I mean, it's never gone, but hopefully we're contributing to its rise in popularity again and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So
yeah, Orlando, he says that Lasso is a good band. I remember them. They're a
yes,
very good band. Human, let
yes,
me ask you this real quick. What about the people that are in DFW? Because like Monica Saldivar is the tops for me. She is one of the best
yes,
female artists up there, and she's from the DFW area. I don't see her
yes.
playing up there a lot. She's playing down here in San Antonio. She's playing up in Oklahoma, but Dallas DFW. It's like y'all don't want her or something. What's up with
We
that?
we don't have well, actually the Tejano festival that got canceled because of rain, she was on the lineup for that.
Yeah, she
And
was. But it was at
yes,
like 3 o'clock, dude. She's not a starter. She's
yeah,
won awards. It's
yes. It's
you know,
it's
what I equate it to. I keep interrupting you. And I apologize, but
go
this
ahead.
is what I
No
equate.
worries.
I equate it to the first time She Bangs came out for Ricky Martin, because you sit there and said Ricky Martin, but remember
Yeah,
he released that song She Bangs, She Bangs. Well,
yes.
he was being interviewed in America. I don't want to call out a specific show because they should be embarrassed by not knowing, but I can tell you they had a good morning that America Day, you know,
Okay.
that show. It was a
Yeah,
good morning in America that day.
yeah.
And the reporter goes, "Oh, they had given her the little cute talking point that he had sold out Madison Square Garden." And she's like,
Okay.
"Oh my gosh, how exciting it must be for you to release your first album and already you're selling out Madison Square Gardens." And he's like, "I was with Menuda. We sold it out like
I know.
37 times." But that, once again, that goes back to that education. A lot of people
Yes.
live in a shell. They live inside within themselves. They don't realize there's new music out there. And
Yes.
that's one of the things that I love about my possession and where I'm at. I get to listen to a lot of new music. Miguel
Yeah.
Hernandez, like I was talking about earlier, he's got like, oh my gosh, he's got albums, songs and he's one of those. I call him the Tejano jazz guy
Uh-huh.
because some of his songs are like 10 minutes long, where they just fall into this groove and it just keep playing, and it's really good music. But I get to hear a lot of the catalogs of some of these artists doing the investigation on their to in order to do a good show, a good interview. I look into their background, and
Right.
just I want to see where they've come up from, and stuff like that. So I won't ask the simple everyday questions,
Right.
and
Like,
know
how'd you get started? Is your
yeah, how you
family
get started,
and
yeah,
okay.
or can you sing some of that for me? That I could not believe some interviews say that. Can you sing a little bit of that for me? It's usually girls, by the way. Usually
Yeah.
the females get asked, can you, like, to legitimize their vocal ability? Can you please sing this song for me? And
Yeah.
it's I'm
But
like,
you know what?
why?
I do kinda like them singing live on some of the shows.
Oh yeah,
So,
no, no, no. I'm saying if they voluntarily do it. I know I did
yes.
an interview with Geneva, and Geneva, she did that. She right off the bat, I was like, oh yeah, I love that song and everything else, and blah, blah, and she just started singing. And I was like, see, that's great.
Yeah.
But I didn't ask her to sing. She just did it on
Right.
her own. If they volunteer it, more power to them. That's awesome. But
Yeah.
to ask them to validate, it's almost like, come on, prove it, you're a singer.
Right.
It's like, prove it, Lawrence. Prove that you can really cook some good food. you know,
I said
do it,
I'm
do
sorry.
it, do
You know
it.
what? I
Right?
need more. I need
I
more. I
need
can't
more.
you know
I
what?
need
I'm not
more.
you
Yeah.
can't prove it to me yet. Let's
No, you don't even speak Spanish to me. Or français, s'il vous plaît. It's like, come on.
yeah. But
It's.
to answer try to answer your question, I think in DFW, we like a lot of the old school, and we have,
Mhm.
the memories of we have our favorites like Moss and Jay and Shelley and, and Ram and, Michael Salao, and the promoters, they gotta make money for the club, and they know who packs them up, and, I think I've said before, I wish the promoters would also, have an opener and bring in these artists, but I don't know what's gonna take,
Well,
maybe
that's
it's gonna
that's
take.
some of that's some of what Shelly Lattice is doing. She has a
Yes,
showcase.
yes, yes.
She did it at the deal. Orlando makes a good point, and he was just sitting there, and he goes, that he was talking about this weekend. He said just this weekend, some Tejano fans were complaining about not knowing about new music.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess he's talking about me. You have been a true advocate for promoting new Tejano music.
Yes,
These people need to stop complaining and need to start becoming educated by your show. Thank you, Orlando.
right.
That's nice. These folks are to blame for not supporting Tejano music. They were for supporting Tejano music in the '90s only. We have some great new music, and just want to say I appreciate you and all you do, bro. Puro Tejano. Thank you,
Yeah,
Orlando. That I I read that incorrectly when I first started. I didn't want to sit there and sing my own praises,
yeah.
but
Well,
no,
why not?
that was my, right. That was one of my goals, was to help promote people. That's why I went after new artists to help promote them, and I constantly do that. And I do know one thing, that I am very proud of the fact that when I say go out and support people at their shows and buy their merch,
Mhm.
there are plenty of artists that can say that I have paid
Help.
for merch. I have lots of caps, I have lots of t-shirts, but I've paid for 98% of them. I paid for them themselves, because I do believe in supporting artists, because of the fact that I know that
Yeah,
goes directly to artists. And that's one of the key things. I can't fathom why people don't want to buy music. I don't understand that. I can hear it whenever I want to. Yeah, you can, but can you really? You have to sit there and flip through here and connect to there, and you don't have any internet. You can't do it here. If you're in your car, you can't do this. But if you buy it, it's on your phone. It's there
yeah,
forever. Yeah, and it costs $1, dude. Come on. We pay
yeah,
seven
and you
dollars
have
for
it
a cup of
forever.
coffee. Yeah, and
Yes.
we pay $7 for a coffee, but no, I can't buy that song. That song's too expensive. You
Yeah.
know, that
That
doesn't make any
the
sense.
amount of work it takes to I remember when I was a kid and I would spend hours and hours on the radio with my cassette player to make a
Yeah.
mixtape and say, okay, I'm hoping the DJ doesn't talk over it and
Right,
like that.
yeah, and
And
he's already, and he would cue it up too. He's like, "Hey, coming up next, it's gonna be this, gonna be that wonderful song from
yes,
Madonna that you've been waiting for this whole time. Here it goes."
exactly.
And then it starts playing. And you're like, "Oh, hit record, and don't forget to be coming." And you're like, "Ah, dude,
Yes.
I just recorded your voice."
Yes,
Yeah,
and now being older, knowing that time is valuable, the 4 or 5 hours that I spent doing that, I could have done mowed several lawns and bought that whole album and stuff like that, and still had money left over rather than spend it listening and waiting and screwing it up. Oh no, he talks over. I have to do it again like
yeah.
that. But you know,
That's
just
that's
spend one
the
dollar and get it
yeah.
for your
Spend
rest of your
spend
life.
$1 and it's on your phone. That's
Yes.
I have a ton of my music here on my phone. I started buying music from my own website or my own radio station, so that way I could make sure that that the 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 algorithm is working the way it is.
Hmm.
I'm at a tier, what's called a tier one advertising platform right now, which
Okay.
means that I no longer have erectile dysfunction. You can go ahead and buy this pill. I don't have those
Yeah.
commercials anymore. You know, like the 3 o'clock in the morning. You know,
Right. I got you.
remember back in the day where it was
Yeah.
like, and you can grow hair just by spraying it. You know,
Yeah.
Rudy Giuliani and his all drippy
I
there.
I remember Joe Rogan.
Oh
Do
yeah,
you listen to Joe Rogan? His
no,
very first year or so, he promoted a pump. I'll let you fill in the rest, but it was a pump, and I was going, "What?"
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But now he doesn't
So
have to worry about doing that.
yeah, I don't do that. I don't do
Yes.
those commercials
No.
anymore. I actually have Coca-Cola, Ford, and all of them.
Yeah.
But in order to ensure that I am getting the count, is I will buy a song and then I can see it in my analytics as far as, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this song got sold and I bought it and everything else. And so I do know that it works. I do know that it's doing its thing. You know, the saturation is there.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I wish it was more beneficial. I don't. I think the issue is just like, it's like with anything. I taught for 2 years. I know, like, you're a teacher. I taught for 2 years. I taught
Mhm.
math for yeah, I did, like you, for special ed classes. You know, I hated they called them special ed class, but it was a
Yeah.
developmental math is what I taught in high school.
I teach developmental math in college. So,
Well, high school is kind of different because it's tough, because they don't listen.
yeah.
But I do know one thing. I did the classes and I did several classes, but to me, it was just a class. It was just a school that I was going to and everything else. But you don't
Mhm.
understand the impact that you have on the kids that are there. And it there's certain things that you see when you're like, wow, for them, you're just one teacher, but for the teacher, they're like, you're one of many students.
Mhm.
That perspective is never there. It's not shared. And it's until you get to that point where you can share that perspective and say, holy crap, I'm actually reaching 100,000 people through my station every month,
Mhm.
myself, just my voice. you know um, that spread, you know that's a lot. It takes, you have to have that mentality, or just be able to be free up your mind to sit there and say, okay, I just touched a lot of different people, and it's not shaking the hand, it's not talking to one person. It's
Right.
actually seeing a lot of people. That's why I've always been one of those people that hated absolutes. I hate people when they I not hate people, but I hate it when people talk in absolutes. Oh, everybody
Yes.
likes this song. Really, dude? You don't know everybody. You know, like four people. How could you possibly know that everybody likes this?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of there. It exists in an abundance in our society, and people, the way people
Mhm.
communicate. They all hate me. Wait, who is they? It's
Yeah.
those. It's inherently I question stuff. So sorry, I went on a
Okay, let's see. Well, that's okay. Uh, Wow, this is the longest show we've had, but which I have enjoyed every minute of it. But let's see, because people took time to write,
Yeah,
so I want to
yeah, go ahead.
acknowledge them.
Hmm.
Let's see. I think I was reading someone. I think Sam says you guys graduated the same time or went to school at the same time.
Hey, Sam, I did not know.
I think he
He did.
said that
Class
somewhere.
of 1987. Sam Guy 10. I need to see you,
And
Sam. I'm not very good with names, but I am good with faces. If I see your
let's
face, I'm
see.
pretty sure that I'll say, oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, Sam was on the show last week, so you could check it out if you hadn't seen it already.
No, I had not seen it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, here's where he said it says Lawrence and I graduated together.
Hey.
And
Yeah.
let's see. Here it is. As a fan of all kinds of music and listening to certain instruments separately and together, I prefer to hear a live band for better or worse. I mean, I enjoy hearing a live band. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I'm not, I didn't diminish the fact that live band
Yes.
sounds great. That's not what I'm saying. And I admire musicians and their ability, their talent that they have. But
Yes.
I do not, for
It's
me,
when the musician doesn't respect the singer. That's when
right.
I get
Yeah.
upset. That they don't bother to learn the music
It's all, and
the way
also
that.
they don't respect the crowd. They just want to sit there and
Right.
get paid.
Exactly.
They start, instead of starting it, because look, back in the day when I would go out to a club, you know, if I paid $20 to get in to listen to a band and you were supposed to start at 10 o'clock and you don't start till 10:45, I want my money back. I want my
Yeah.
45 minutes back. You just made me sit around and listen to you going clang, 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 see,
Yeah.
see, see. Really? That's
Yeah,
that's not
especially when
necessary.
I have to go to bed by midnight and I only got to listen like 4 or 5 songs. It's like,
Right,
yeah,
right.
and I'm going,
Yeah.
okay, that's
So
it.
that's where that whole thing for me kind of turns, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to. I don't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't have a preference for one or the other. It depends on the band themselves. Like, okay,
Mhm.
Sunny Salcedo, great live show.
Yes.
The whole band is into it. They're all over the place. It's a show. It's a show.
Yeah.
But that
Jake
show is
Lee,
it. But
another one.
Jenny B's show, and she was by herself on stage, was just as entertaining as him.
Yeah.
So I don't see a variance in differences there. Um, excuse me. But you know, I was happy with the performance of the ladies that I brought in because of the fact that they started after a wrestling match. We had wrestling in the same building, which was I was
Oh,
kind of
wow.
worried about. Yeah, and the wrestling crowd was there. There was a lot of people there watching wrestling. 200,
Mhm.
300 people there. And then I wanted to hurry up and get them right after the show so that way I could catch the crowd and they get them to turn around. But the opening act was late, so there was a lapse in time, and
Okay.
then they started, and then that's when it was like, oh, everybody just walked away and everything else. But then when Joanna Ray got on stage and she started singing, the people that were in transition going from one event to the other, they started stopping.
Stop.
Started, yeah, they were turning around, and then they were doing this thing, okay, hey,
Yeah.
check it out, and the because the car they were on the second section of the building, there were cars and everything else, and people were just sitting down,
Mhm.
next to their vehicle because they were still judging and stuff like that. I saw heads standing up, where they were standing up and watching the show, and so they were enjoying it too. And then I was like,
Right.
this is awesome. And then when Jeannie B came on, even the sound engineer, you know, when you see
Perked
the
up.
sound engineer yeah, when he's getting into it and he's like, he's working board and he's getting up front and making sure that her vocals are on time. That tells you right there that before then, I only saw him when he turned it on. He's like, click, there you go, you're good. That was
Yeah.
it. He was there
And
to
he was
hand off the
going,
mic and take it back. Yeah, nothing. Yeah. But when she started singing, that was a wholly different show. And he was in front. He was making sure everything was going. And I was like, first of all, she got his respect right off by her ability. But the crowd started crowding in and everything else. And then, when the next band came on stage and they were taking forever to get started, people started going away,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so it
Okay.
once again goes to that. It to me, I just seen the responses, and I think that's when people say, "Well, she's just singing with tracks. She's nobody special." I'm like, no, 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 no. You do it.
Yeah.
It's why you. That's why you go to a karaoke club and you go, man, that person can sing, because it's just instrument.
Yeah.
It's not karaoke. It's totally different too. It's not somebody else's song.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to just oh wait a second. I probably should put contact information up first. Whoops. Okay. What happened to you? A second. Whoops. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to block you. I that's Nemo's spot. That here. Well, if let's see, where am I at? Well, that's not it. Okay, I'll get back to you. I guess I should have prepped it before, like that. I forgot like that. But if you want to get a hold of me, you could look at it's at Buddy at ItsTejanoTime.com and Nemo. I guess you could. I don't have his memorized, but if you want to get in contact with him, go to a previous show and you can check it out. But how can people get a hold of you? I know they can go see Imagen Studios on YouTube and check you out. But
Or
they
Cuba Radio,
okay,
QRadio.fm. You can go there. There's my contact stuff is there, or you can just email me at admin@QRadio.live.
okay. And on for those people who are on YouTube and are not watching on Facebook, what's the name of your Facebook? Is it
It's just
Kubo
no, it's
Radio?
my Facebook is, yeah, it's Cubo. Or
Okay,
well, no, I actually operate more out of my Lawrence Indio Caceres, so because
okay,
I'm DJ Indio. And by the way, that when we started talking about the internet and YouTube channels and everything else, the reason I have a blue background here is because
okay.
it's imagen azul is what it is, and so it's
Oh,
blue. I
okay.
like to keep the content of the color and everything else, and so
Do you know why I have a blue background?
because I told you to put a blue background back
Well,
there.
because I saw a background on yours, yes, and it looked better than pink or yellow or
I
orange and
told
stuff
you
like
it's
that.
a good color, man. It's just
Yes, it is.
mine looks a little purple because of the American flag that's back there that was given
Yeah.
to me. I have an American
Okay.
flag that was
All
given
right.
to me.
I also
So
want to thank our contributors, Jerry, Sam, and Bumper. And again, I want to thank you for coming in as a guest host for Nemo.
yeah,
All right.
let me go ahead and send us a couple of shout outs to Miguelito,
Oh,
who was
yes,
there.
please.
Rick Phoenix, thank you for joining in. Gracie, of course. Norma Salazar and George, thank you so very much, guys. Yellow supporters. Orlando, Daniel from D. Oh, man, Daniel, I'm sorry. He's got a Facebook group that he promotes a lot of the Tejano music. He's the one that plays all the videos. He's a really
Okay.
awesome person. Yeah,
Oh,
thank
give him a
you.
shout out. Tell
Yeah,
you can send
Daniel
his
got to
information.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so very much, Daniel. I don't remember your group name. Please, I apologize. I'm sorry about that. Jenny B, who's watching, and Miguel Hernandez, and of course my good old friend Orlando Cardenas, DJ 69.
Yes.
Puro
And of
Tejano.
course, you forgot the most important one.
Well, you buddy, come
No, no, no.
on.
Gracie.
Well,
You
I
forgot
said
to
Gracie,
say.
right? Gracie. I said Gracie.
I
Well, Gracie
we said
knows
that
it.
earlier. I didn't hear in
Yeah.
the last part of the
Hi,
list, but
Gracie. Thank you,
all
Gracie,
right.
for listening in and letting
Yes.
me play with my friend.
Yes. Thank you, Gracie. Okay.
Yeah. And thanks to you, buddy, for what you're doing, bro. I really do
Well,
appreciate
thank
the
you.
fact that you've opened up another avenue to get people. It's better to have a conversation and have it on good terms as opposed to constantly in today's society when it's constant, it's so polarizing. Any kind of conversation, it's better to meet as friends at the same table and enjoy each
Exactly.
other and sharing our views and our thoughts and our talks, because we're all in this together. And really, if we take the scope and understand, we're on a rock that's falling
Yes.
down in the middle of space, that
Yeah.
keeps expanding, that is a rock within another huge amount of rocks in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
We're we're just a small little speck. It doesn't
That's
make
true.
sense. So why fight? Let's just love.
Exactly.
All we
Okay.
need is love. Bye bye
Okay.
bye
All right.
bye.
I'm your host, Oraldo, for It's Tejano Time. And
I'm DJ Indio with Cuba Radio. Thank you so very much for
okay. And you've
inviting
been
me.
listening or watching Tejano Talk. Thanks
Tejano.
again.
See
All
you,
right.
brother. What time
All
is
right.
it?
It's always Tejano time. All
Nice.
right.
Laters.
End broadcast.